Another Texas-sized test awaits the orange and blue without their big two. We get you set for the Oilers and the Stars on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. The snow is coming in, evidently. So much for spring, Shawn.
I know. It's unbelievable.
That's okay. That's okay. It's right around the corner. It is the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show live at, we took it from the satellite studios into the satellite kitchen.
The Casa de Gazzola?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's good to have you on location. We're going to have Cass on location tomorrow at Boston Pizza Westgate.
Nice.
It's going to be great. We did the oil stream there earlier today. Shout out to Tara and, of course, Curtis over at BP Westgate. Tony's great over there as well. Charlene. We met Virginia from the Devon BP.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, it was a really good time. A couple of the nasties showed up. We saw Dash there.
Oh, Dash.
What
we had Big beauty, that guy.
He's good stuff.
Yeah.
He's good stuff. Hernan Salas back at EST HQ. Natsito, how are we doing tonight?
Not as good as Bellsy looks, I'll tell you that much.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Both you guys
modern measure right there.
I'm digging the blue colors and the gray with the blue stripes there. Man, you guys look sharp. I got to start wearing a suit here while I'm on this side too.
You look good too, buddy. You look
No. You don't have to say it. It's okay.
You do.
Hey, if this was like 7 minutes ago, you would have seen me running around in my underwear.
Yeah.
I did see you.
You did. You like that? You like those legs?
Hey, you're lucky I wasn't streaming, man.
I know. I was like, oh no, I got to get ready. I got the suit on. But away we go. Everybody who's watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, of course, EptonSportsTalk.com's audio player. Text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well as the Oilers await a big test from the Dallas Stars. Josh Bogorad, a play-by-play voice of the Dallas Stars, will be joining us as well a little bit later on in the program. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. I'm going to start with this, guys, because Josh is going to join us about 10 minutes time. It doesn't seem like there's worry or fear. There's certainly a respect, it seems like, for the Dallas Stars. Yep. But, do you think that sentiment am I reading that right, first of all? And then secondly, if I am right about it, is it because the Oilers beat the Stars a couple of weeks ago? Although they had McDavid and Draisaitl. What do you guys think about the matchup and how people are kind of feeling going into it?
Oh, I think it's a good matchup. Like, I think that the way that the Stars play versus the way the Oilers play, it presents challenges for the Stars. You have the best stars in the world. The Oilers historically have just wanted to play, and they like fast-paced games, and they like the skill game. And one thing that Dallas does really well is they play a skilled game. And we've seen over the past couple of years, especially in the playoffs, the teams that give the Oilers the most trouble are big, heavy teams.
This is a big, heavy team, but it's got skill too.
It's super skilled.
Yeah.
But they don't like bang and crash like the Vancouver Canucks did last year.
Good point. Or Florida,
right? So those are the teams that give the Oilers fits. Dallas plays a fun style of hockey. It's upbeat, it's quick, it's skilled, but that's exactly what the Oilers want. So I think it's a great matchup.
Okay. Natso, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, you give the edge to Dallas, obviously, because of the two big guys that are out, but it's been 4 periods without the big two, and they fared pretty well. And I know Seattle's not Dallas. I get that 100%. But all in all, I think they're going to be game. I don't think this is a blowout. I don't think Dallas has their way with the Edmonton Oilers. I think they're going to be in there competing. There's a reason why I used Janmark in the pregame thumbnail, because he's going to have a big game, boys. I feel it in my bones.
You feel it, eh?
I was wondering about that.
It's March 26th. It's about time he arrives, right? So,
we're still waiting for him a little bit. But does that have anything to do with the question of the night?
No. Oh, God, no.
You want to lay that on us?
Sure. I'm going to look ahead, boys, okay? We had a great conversation I wouldn't say great. It was a lukewarm conversation on EST Afternoons about it. But, guys, let's look ahead. Right now, the Edmonton Oilers, I don't think there's any threat of Calgary, Vancouver catching LA or the Oilers, okay? LA can still catch Vegas. So can the Oilers, okay? So a lot of things can happen here. But the Oilers are either going to face the Vegas Golden Knights or the LA Kings in round 1. Who do you prefer?
Ooh. Go for it, Belle.
Well, you prefer the Kings.
Really?
Well, yeah, because like at the end of the day, Vegas is the best team in the division. And the Kings they're a very good hockey team. They don't score a whole bunch. They don't give up a whole bunch.
They don't lose at home.
It's
crazy.
But we've also seen the Oilers have the ability to really handle them. So I'm not like really that. I think that they would pose a formidable threat, but I don't think I'm going to walk away being like, I'm really terrified of the Los Angeles Kings.
I'm with you on the sentiment of not being terrified of the LA Kings. But to me, it goes back to the confidence the Oilers have over the years beating them. And
100%.
Joaquin talked about this on EST Afternoons in what I thought was a pretty good conversation myself, I will say. I enjoyed it thoroughly on my drive home. And Joaquin, and it was the exact same thought that popped in my head when, hearing some comments about facing LA and the law of averages and all of that. And Joaquin's like, that's kind of like a defeatist mentality. Like, you've beaten them 3 times already.
Yep.
Why can't you beat them again? Go and beat them. You know how to handle them. Yes, they've added better players. Yes, their goaltending is better. But so what?
But the
regular season's one thing, and playoffs are another.
100%. They still don't have the 2 best players in the world. Those guys are difference makers, and that's one of the things that Los Angeles does not do well. They don't score.
Yeah,
they need a guy.
Has LA improved though? Compared to last year, and have the Oilers taken a step back compared to last year?
I would say
maybe not. I don't know.
They're different.
Yeah,
they're just different. But you also have 2 guys coming back in Frederick and Kane that play big boy hockey.
Potentially,
play big boy hockey at the right time. Well, Frederick does for sure. So potentially on Kane, 100%. But Frederick does. And we were talking about this on the hangout today. You put those 2 guys in your lineup, you present a different lineup than you're currently seeing. Gives you different elements. It makes you harder to play against. And so if you look at that and you get all your guys back, well, I think you got a lot of depth, and I think you got a great forward group.
But that's the thing, Belsy, because we did say that it's a whole different animal if Kane and Frederick are good to go. But Kane's not going to be ready till it sounds like until after a few games into the playoffs. And then Frederick, so Tommy and Shawn, he said 1 to 2 weeks before he's on the ice skating with the team. That takes us, if it's 2 weeks, okay, let's go the longest case possible. That's April 9th, guys. There's 4 games left in the season at that point.
That's
like,
okay.
But are these 2 guys going to be ready to go for playoff hockey? Let's just say they don't get in any regular season games. So I think there's 2. I think there's 2 different arguments. With those 2 guys in the lineup, it's the Oilers are a completely different team. Without, we've kind of see them kind of go up and down this year.
I would say that Frederick is a lot closer to playoff hockey because he's played a ton of games this year.
Yeah.
Like I could understand that argument if it was Evander Kane because he hasn't played. But Evander's a veteran. He knows how to kind of manage himself and get himself into the games. Frederick, he's right there. Like he's not going to be dropping off a cliff. He's going to work his way back in the lineup. If he has 4 games left to go, that's, I think, enough for him to get kind of going again and get his feet underneath him and become obviously what the Oilers need in their lineup.
I'm not too worried about this Oilers team. Honestly, I'm not too worried about the LA Kings. I think any team we face in these playoffs, look at LA for crying out loud. You and Joaquin were talking about look at St. Louis. That's what I was meaning to say. Is like, look at what they've done lately. They're on fire. And now Minnesota's got them in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, every opponent's going to be tough. There's no easy matches in this playoff round. Maybe or whoever ends up against Minnie, maybe. But even if Minnie gets healthy, all of a sudden you're like, well, they might surprise a top tier team or 2. So we'll see. To me, it's Edmonton lost to Dallas like 5 years in a row. And I know there was a cap now compared to no cap back then. But I don't know. Once you get into the team's head, I think you have them.
I said this on the hangout.
What'd you say?
I said, what I want to see happen is the Oilers overtake Vegas to get first.
Yeah.
And then I want to see the Blues jump the Wild to be the wild card. Why?
Oilers.
storylines galore.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Could you imagine how good that would be?
I don't even want to go there. What say you to the question of the night? 780-218-9999. Nance will throw it out there one more time really quickly.
Knights or Kings, who would you prefer the Oilers play in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs? Let us know.
Why?
I say Vegas. I think Gager said Vegas too. You two say LA.
Yeah.
We need the Nasties to be the tiebreaker. Anyway.
Text us, hit up the nasty chat. Away we go into starting lineups brought to you by Southport Chev. We're officially in truck month, which comes with deeper discounts, lower interest rates on Silverados and HD, 0% for up to 72 months on Silverado Custom and Custom Trail Boss. The Silverado is built in Canada. 90-day payment deferral or $10K cash back with the purchase of a new vehicle. Conditions do apply. See dealer for details. www.southportchev.com. Drive a little, save a lot at Southport Chev. For the Oilers tonight, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins between Vasily Podkolzin and Victor Arvidsson. Adam Henrique with Kasperi Kapanen, who gets a bump up from the bottom six, and Zach Hyman. Matthias Janmark, we're waiting for him to shoot and score on a goalie this year. He has 2 goals. Neither one of them has been a shot off his stick past the goalie.
Yeah, they all count.
They all count. That's right. One went off of him, the other one into the empty net. He's going to have Skinner and Brown on his flanks, and then you got Derek Ryan with Max Jones and Corey Perry on defense for the Oilers. Ekholm paired up with Bouchard. Nurse with Wallman. Kulak with Stetcher. I'm curious. I want to hear your thoughts on a couple of things on the defense a little bit later on. Ty Emberson is the scratch for the Dallas Stars tonight. We're expecting Rope Hintz between Mason Marchment and Mikko Rantanen, Matt Duchene between Jason Robertson and Mikhail Granlund, Wyatt Johnston with Jamie Benn and Evgeny Dodonov, and Sam Steele with Oscar Back and Colin Blackwell. On defense, Thomas Harley with Ilya Labushkin, S.L. Lindell with Cody Ceci, Leon Bischel with Matt Dumba, and Maverick Bork could be the scratch. We'll update anything from warm-up if we see any changes. That brings us to starting goalies. For the Oilers, 26-year-old Stu Skinner, 24-17-4 this season, 287 goals against average, 895 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 48 games played. Skinner versus Dallas, decent numbers, 3-3-0 record, 320 GAA, 882 save percentage, maybe not so decent on the averages. Win-loss record's okay. He's played them 6 times in his career. Jake Ottinger at the other end of the rink, the 26-year-old, 33-15-3, 249 GA, 909 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 51 games this year for Otter, as they like to call him. Ottinger versus Edmonton over the course of his career, 4-3-1 record, 277 goals against average, 903 save percentage, shutout in 8 games versus Edmonton. And then that brings us to the Advanced Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. At Advanced Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. If you have a nagging pain you'd like to see go away, book your consultation today at www.advantagesportsmed.ca. For the Oilers, the list has lengthened of late. Leon Draisaitl, day-to-day, undisclosed. Connor McDavid, day-to-day, lower body. John Klingberg, day-to-day, undisclosed. Trent Frederick, IR, ankle. Alec Regula, IR, knee. Evander Kane, LTIR, abdominal surgery and knee surgery. As for Dallas, Nils Lundqvist, IR, shoulder. Miro Heiskanen, IR, knee. And Tyler Seguin, IR, hip impingement and labrum.
Oh, yeah.
Belzy.
The good old labrum.
Yeah, the good old labrum. Oh, those are tough. I think Josh is good to go. Yes, he is. He is the play-by-play man for the Dallas Stars. It is our good friend Josh Bogorad from Rogers Place. Josh, you're on with Tom, Hernan, and Shawn. Belle, thanks for doing this evening. Listen, the Stars are coming off a pretty nice homestand, 3-0-1 on that homestand. What stood out to you about the way the team played in those games?
Well, first, it's good to be here and chat with you fellas. And I'm listening to you read the injury lineup, and I'm thinking, man, it sure sounds like the last week of March in the NHL, doesn't it? Because it's been a grind of a season with 4 nations and the condensed schedule. And, I mean, these games keep coming just one right after the other. And every time you go into a building, you know that there's going to be some pretty dynamic players who are not available, and probably no 2 in the league that are more so and unavailable from Rogers tonight than the dynamic duo for Edmonton. But for the Stars, you know, they're kind of doing on that homestand what they've been doing for the last little bit here, and that's just win the game that they're in. 7 of a possible 8 points. I think that Pete, DeBoer, and all the guys in the room would honestly say that they're probably not playing their best hockey these last couple of weeks, and yet the results by and large have still followed. I think that's kind of a good and a bad place to be at this time of the year, because I know that they feel like they're a much better club when the opposition is stuck on 2 and fewer more than they have been lately, but led by an outstanding power play and some really strong individual runs by a few key guys. They've been able to win the games that they're in for the most part. One of the few exceptions was 2.5 weeks ago when they were in this building.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, you know, an interesting situation because you have Sagan out and you have Heiskanen out. I mean, what is a guy like Heiskanen mean to that team? I know he's been out for a bit, but you just look at that lineup and you're like, okay, if I can add in a star caliber defenseman like that, it's going to boost that team so much more.
He means as much to this team as any defenseman can mean to any team in the league. And I'm sure if, you know, when Vancouver was without Quinn Hughes, or if you took Cale Makar out of the Colorado lineup, like, they would feel similar impacts, because while Heiskanen doesn't necessarily put up the points that those two guys do, he plays in every situation. If your team is down by 1, chasing late, he's out there. If your team is up by 1, protecting late, he's out there. He was quarterback in the number 1 power play unit. He can kill penalties. You routinely just see him make things look effortless that doesn't always look effortless. Believe me, we've been in this building many times, and we've seen him go head-to-head with guys like McDavid and Draisaitl. And it was noticeable 2 weeks ago when they were here when he wasn't there. And then they played Colorado. When you play against the game breakers in the league, he's a guy that, look, nobody can stop those guys, but some can neutralize a little bit better than others. So it's not just the point production. It's not just the minutes. It's breaking the puck out of your zone and relieving pressure on everybody else. It's doing all the things that make everybody around you better. And that's what he means to the Stars. He's their most valuable player, and it's a huge loss. Now, that being said, huge tip of the cap to a lot of the other people who have picked up the slack, and in his absence, the kind of absence that can derail a season. It hasn't even come close to doing that, and it's kind of been a lot of helping hands, the reason why, but certainly the biggest goes to Thomas Harley and what he's done. He's legitimately been one of the best defensemen in the NHL since Heiskanen went down. He's second in goals, second in points, 5th in ice time among all defensemen. The only guy ahead of him is Makar. So that's the company he's keeping. It's kind of been part of this 4 nations and then some coming out party for Thomas Harley.
Hey, you nailed it on the head, Josh, because I think a lot of Canadian hockey fans got their first real glimpse of him during that 4 Nations face-off. And at first it was, you heard a lot of, especially on our stage, like, who's Thomas Harley? Like, what the heck's his deal? It's like, no, just trust us. He'll be okay. And sure enough, he stood right in there, as you know.
Yeah, more than okay.
Yeah, he was just fine. Josh Bogorad with us, the Stars play-by-play man. Did you want to add to that, or did you want? I was going to ask about Tyler Sagan.
And we'll definitely talk about Tyler. I was going to say that when the announcement came, look, we understand sometimes some of the league's best kept secrets can hide in plain sight in Dallas, Texas. We know that of all of the players at like the disposal of Canadian players, and I mean, you could make A, B, C, D teams, and they'd all be just outstanding. We knew there would probably be some raised eyebrows when his name got selected. And then we also knew that if he was thrust into action, those eyebrows would raise for a different reason as soon as the world got to watch him play, and that's exactly what happened.
That's a great way to sum it up. That is a perfect way to articulate what we saw from Thomas Harley at the 4 Nations face-off. All right, Josh, really quickly on Sagan, because, like, is there a chance for him and Heiskanen? I know Lundqvist is out as well, but, like, you want as many healthy bodies going into the playoffs, and Sagan's been a key veteran. He still has something to contribute. Maybe he's not as quick as he used to be and all of that, but you want Heiskanen back. You want Sagan back. What is their prognosis like right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's wait and see on both, but a little different because Seguin is on this trip. He's with the team. He's skating. That's a recent development. He hasn't taken contact yet. He hasn't skated, 5-6 days in a row yet, but he's working his way back and certainly seems closer to the end of it than the beginning. He's been out since just after American Thanksgiving back to early December when the cord got cut on. Look, I know he's not the young up-and-coming guy he was a decade ago, but he was having a remarkable season, and he and Duchesne and Marchment look so good. So if they can get him back, that's going to be huge. The fact that he's skating is obviously a great sign. The fact that Miro Heiskanen is not a good sign, and you're 3 weeks from the finish line of the regular season. So, look, I don't know how it's going to shake out. Pete DeBoer said last week that there's a possibility they might have to enter the playoffs without him. They might have to win a round without him. They might have to win 2 rounds without him, and that's easier said than done. But just because it's a possibility doesn't mean it's a certainty. But it's definitely hold your breath time when you're this close to the end of the season and he's not on the ice yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how those guys come back because that sounds like a scary lineup.
It's already a scary lineup.
It's a scary lineup, but if you go, what was it, Seguin, Duchesne, and Marchment, like that's a hell of a line. But the last time Dallas was in town, Mikko Rantanen was making his Stars debut. How was he fit in with the group? Do you kind of see where he, all the skills that he had that made him such a wanted commodity?
Yeah, I think there's a real life component to this. When he was here, it was so crazy. He met the team in Edmonton. I think he got in at midnight. You go from not knowing what team you're going to be on the next day to knowing what team you're going to be on for the next decade. And he wound up meeting this club on the road. I thought he had a good game. Not a lot of Stars had good games in those first 40 minutes, but I thought he played well. Then you continue a road trip. He wound up playing a road game in Colorado before he played a home game in Dallas. So to say it's been a whirlwind is an understatement. Look, the line that he's been on for the most part was with Robertson and Hintz, and Rope Hintz took a puck to the face that game in Edmonton and had to miss a few after that. So it's kind of just real life on the ice. Everything has been a bit of a hurdle and an obstacle. I think that it's really good that there's 3 more weeks. It's really good that they got that trip to Denver out of the way before the playoffs. You can see what's there that makes him so valuable. You could certainly see it play out. I think that everybody would admit that because of all of those things, the line hasn't looked as good as you imagine it can, and they've got 3 weeks to sort of sort that out before playoffs. But it's not going to get any easier in terms of, putting on the blinders and storylines because it looks like it might be a collision course between Dallas and Colorado in the first round. And I mean, going back in there for a regular season game in March was a circus with Rantanen. I can't even imagine what the spotlight would be like on him if that is the opening round matchup. Not only do you have 2 Stanley Cup contenders and 2 really, really good teams, some of the best in the league, but you would have that storyline underneath it all. It'd be incredible theater. We'll see if it happens, but I think that this is an important 3 weeks to just try and stabilize before the games get the most important that they'll get.
That matchup is going to be tantalizing. That game a couple of weeks ago in Colorado, I was just like, oh my God, this is it. This is playoff hockey. I can't wait.
It was awesome.
Josh, one more for you. Oilers fans are going to roll their eyes when they hear this, but I got to bring it up. This guy's been so good in this league for so long, and he's 1 goal away from his 400th in his NHL career. That's Jamie Benn. He's got 25 goals against Edmonton in 45 regular season games. Do you think, Josh, he gets that milestone goal tonight? And how would you describe the way his role has evolved over the last couple of seasons?
He got $3.99 the last time we were in this building. He hasn't scored since, so we'll see. Maybe this is just the way to bookend the chase. The way I would describe Jamie, sorry about that. He's such an underrated captain. One of my favorite things about Jamie is guys come through Dallas and you don't know much about him because he's never going to be a guy that grabs the spotlight in the media. He's just not that type of leader. But the guys that are in the room with him, they all leave Dallas talking about how he's one of the best captains they've ever played with, they've ever played for. He means so much to the sport in a place like Dallas. People who are watching right now, you might not remember, but in 2014, we're talking about international play. He was on Team Canada, and I think he was kind of a shocking pick back then and wound up scoring the lone goal in a 1-0 win against Team USA in those Olympics. And when Sidney Crosby back around then was asked if he had one player that he could build a team around, Jamie Benn was his answer. He was an elite power forward in an era where maybe there weren't as many power forwards, just a throwback player all the way down to the fact that he still doesn't wear a visor. He's just he's a fun player to watch when he's on your side. He's, I'm sure, a fun player to dislike when he's on the other side. But I'm a huge fan of him off the ice. On the ice, obviously, it's been a very fun ride getting to watch him up close. And I think that you take it from the guys who are closest to these players and the ones who come through the room and talk about the type of leader and the type of teammate he is. And that's a side of Jamie Benn that kind of by his own choosing and doing is not really a public side, and he's just fine with that. But when you get to see it a little bit closer than most, he's a very, very easy guy to root for.
Hey, you're a very, very easy guy to work with, and this was a fun segment. And Bellsy and I look forward to seeing you up in the press box tonight, Josh. Awesome stuff. Thanks for hopping on tonight and giving us some insight on the Stars.
Always a pleasure, guys, and good luck down the stretch. Who knows when we'll run into you again.
Hey, maybe in April, maybe in May. That would be lovely. There you go, Josh Bogorad, play-by-play man for the Dallas Stars. Great guy, and you definitely heard his call on Stars broadcasts. He's one of the best, really good guy in the league, and we're lucky to have him as a friend. So good stuff there from Josh. I had to bring up the Ben thing. As I was reading, I'm like, oh god, he's at $3.99, and like Josh said, his $3.99 goal was here a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you didn't have to put that out there.
Yeah.
But hey, here we are.
Here we are. What if he gets it tonight, but the Oilers win? No problem, man.
Yeah, from our side, it's a good thing.
Yeah, there you go.
From his side, probably not.
Whatever.
Yeah,
hey,
it is what it is.
Get your 400th, take the loss. Everybody's happy. 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat. Text us as well. Hit that thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube. Tom Gazzola, Shawn, Belle, Hernan, Salas with you. Nancito, let's bring you back in. What'd you think of what Josh had to say about the Dallas Stars there?
Yeah, good dude. I mean, listen, like Jimmy Benn, I didn't know he didn't wear a visor, guys? That was an interesting little tidbit.
He's one of the, what is it, like 5 or 6 guys left?
I think it might even be less than 5 guys now.
Yeah, but Rantanen is probably going to be a lot better than he was in his first game as a star. Remember that, guys? So, yeah, it's going to be a tough test. Well, these teams can meet what, Tommy, in the second round?
Just looking at the stats,
it would be a third round.
Third round again?
Probably same scenario as last year, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
But that's like a gauntlet that they have to go through.
Oh, it's like the Pacific.
Holy man!
That's what I said. That's what I meant. Like,
is it
the whole Western Conference is not easy?
It's not easy, but I would say the Central is a little bit harder.
It's tougher there for sure.
For sure.
Colorado, Dallas, guys, first round.
Winnipeg,
amazing first round if that happens.
Winnipeg's the best team in the league.
How about second best for Winnipeg yesterday against the Caps? They beat the Caps yesterday.
Well, there you go.
Who's the best?
They might be the best team in the league. And right now, Colorado might be one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. And Dallas isn't too far behind.
I have no qualms with that statement at all.
You think?
And look out for Tampa. Look out for Edmonton.
Yeah, who's a threat in the East, boys? Tampa.
I think
a legit
Tampa's
threat.
The sneaky team to look out for. Florida, of course.
Yep.
Nobody's giving any love to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I'm kind of in that boat too.
I also think Washington, boys, it's just nothing's gone wrong for Washington. I mean, they lost Ovi for a good stretch there. The guy's going to break Gretzky's record. I mean, I don't know. I worry about that Washington team. And well, maybe not. Like they're going to get Montreal maybe in the first round. Did Montreal upset them?
Tell you what team I'm not worried about is Carolina.
Oh yeah, they're in the pooper.
I'm not.
Poor Carolina. Hey, they're so close, but yet so far.
They were so close,
Every single
Belsey.
time.
And then
So close, and then
disaster.
Yeah.
No Rantanen, no Natchez. But they have
Logan
Stankoven.
Stankoven and a bunch of picks.
maybe they can just build for the future.
To me, they're the new San Jose Sharks. Remember San Jose, always so good, always top of the league.
Yep.
Never could get it done in the playoffs. That's what the Carolina Hurricanes are. This Carolina Hurricanes, to me, at least in my opinion.
That's tough.
I'm just saying. I'm just one guy. That's how I see it. All right.
Real tough.
All right. Keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999. Question of the night was this. Who would you rather face if you're the Oilers, the Kings, or the Golden Knights? Coach Mike says LA has scored less and given up slightly less than last season. Through 70 games last season, 229 goals for, 183 goals against. This season, 206 goals for, 178 goals against. If I had my choice, I would play LA again. Coach Mike, I agree with you, and I appreciate you showing your work. Corey B says, "Aw, you guys are so pretty." Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
That's very
Appreciate
nice.
that.
Oh,
I see some
Jason,
people wanting positive Belsey.
I hate positive Belsey.
Bring it,
That guy.
Belsey. We need some positivity, man.
That guy. No chance. Jason the Acadian says he loves the suits.
Thank you.
Jason the Acadian also went and saw Richie and Jared over at Modern Measure. One of our listeners was there yesterday when I was heading in to pick up some jeans from the guys. So
Great decision.
advertising with EST works, as we like to say. All right, let's get to Game Changers with our game analyst, Shawn Belle, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. All right, Bellsy, number one tonight, the Nuge.
The Nuge. I think we can all agree that Nuge hasn't had the best season.
Agreed.
I think we can all agree that Nuge has, played a little bit slower than he normally has.
Agreed.
Now, with that being said, Nuge is a vital part of the Edmonton Oilers.
Agreed.
And since the shift back to center, he's been far more engaged. He's been moving his feet. He scored a hat trick the other night. And if we can get, and I just said
you did play
if
for
we
the
can
team.
get
I'll let
that
it
guy
slide.
back and have him, be a driver on his own line, I think the Edmonton Oilers are in a really good situation.
He's been driving a line.
He's been driving a line because
Last
now,
little bit.
as you kind of progress through the season, you get closer to the playoffs. And if Nuge is still driving a line by himself, you have McDavid, you have Draisaitl, and you have Nuge down the middle. That is dangerous. So I like the fact that he's moved on to his own line. I love the fact that he's center again, because I think when he's engaged, he's a dynamic player.
What would you say, and I want Nanso's opinion on this too, to the people that say that he's too slow? Because there have been people saying he's too slow. And
He's cerebral.
Okay. Because when he's not moving his boots,
It makes him look very slow.
Yeah.
But he's actually not a slow hockey player. And he's calculated. And the things that he does, it's for a reason. And, Nuge, when he gets in trouble, and I think he'd probably admit this, is when he's not moving his feet. And I would say that for most NHLers, when you're not moving your feet, you're in trouble. But Nuge, because of the way that he plays, he just, for some reason, he can't get it going. While other guys can go in there and they can bang and crash and they can do something different to become a factor, that's not Nuge's game.
fair.
But when he's playing his game and he's moving his feet, all of a sudden he's on the forecheck. All of a sudden he's making those quick plays. I mean, he's building some chemistry out of really nowhere with Arvidsson.
Better late than never.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that you need to see because he is such an integral part of this team. He's he's the longest serving Oiler, for one. And for two, he's basically ride shotgun with McDavid and Draisaitl the entire time. Sorry to interrupt you, Hernan.
No, I was interrupting you. Sorry.
But it's just such he's so integral to what the Oilers' success is. that they need him to play the way that he has in the last couple of games.
Not so.
Would you guys keep once the two big dogs are back? Do you think do you think going into the postseason they're going to keep Nuge on his own line?
Okay,
I would try it.
I'm glad you brought that up because Chris Knobloch's been sort of talking about that.
Yep.
And he's been utilizing, now he's forced to utilize that right now, but he was kind of implementing it a bit when McDavid and Draisaitl were still in the lineup. I think this is him. It's like a test before the regular or the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs that maybe go down with what Jay Woodcroft called it, the spine on the blue line or on the down the middle, the spine with the three centermen.
It gives me, and I'm not making this the exact comparison, but it gives me Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup vibes. Crosby, Malkin, Stahl. Once again, not saying that that's exactly what it is because obviously the size between Stahl versus Nugent Hopkins is very different. They're different players.
Yeah.
But when you have those three players being able to carry a line by themselves, that's a big thing. And the other thing that we also know is that, which kind of leads into my next point, is that when Henry came to Edmonton at the trade deadline last year, he didn't just play center. He played on the wing. And when he played on the wing, he was actually very good.
Yep.
And he usually rode, shotgun with McDavid or Draisaitl.
True.
So now it kind of gives you options, and you want to have that roster flexibility because now you're not just going to be pigeonholed into saying, okay, this guy has to play center here or this person has to play wing there. You have the ability to kind of change things up on the fly.
I'll add this. If Henrique ends up on wing, which I don't mind, to be honest.
Yeah, either do I.
And him and I talked about it last week a bit, and he's just like, I've been around the league for a long time. I should be able to go from one to the other as seamlessly as possible. But that means if you have Henrique playing wing, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins down the middle, you either have Derek Ryan or Matthias Janmark as your fourth line center. And we saw Kasperi Kapanen for like a week and a half as a centerman, and that was no bueno.
If you look at the lines, it's almost like you can insert player here. So, for example, you got Hyman, you got Henrique, and who was the other guy on that line?
Hyman, Henrique, and tonight it will be Kapanen.
Okay, move Kapanen out of there.
Well,
put McDavid in. Could that be a line?
Yes. And then you move Henrique to the wing.
You've got Nuge, you got Arvidsson, and here's a hypothetical. What happens if you slot Kane into that line?
All of a sudden, it gets a lot rougher and rougher.
Yeah. And then you look at the Skinner, Janmark, Brown line. Okay, pull out Janmark, and then you put Draisaitl there. I'm not saying it's the greatest, but I'm just saying, like, if you look at the way the lines are built right now, it almost looks like you can pull a player, plug a player.
Yeah, and that's without even mentioning Frederick.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's some flexibility there. Hernan, anything to add before we move on to point number two?
I'm just saying, if Kane returns, like, I'm putting him right beside Draisaitl.
Fair.
They don't.
Yeah. Okay. No, I know what you're saying, Tom. But hey man, team first. Deal with your issues.
I agree with you.
Would you not put Frederick there?
How about both of them, Bellsy?
Ooh, that is an aggressive line.
Right? You can keep Nuge on the third, and all of a sudden you got some crazy depth.
We're talking options here. All right, let's go to point number two of Game Changers with our game analyst, Shawn. Belle, you kind of tiptoed around it a little bit.
Dabbled on that one. Yep.
Dabbled a bit. Yep. Veteran experience, Bellsy.
Yeah, veteran experience. I mean, we're at a point now where you got a lot of guys that haven't been playing their best hockey. You've got guys that are veterans. So Henrique, we've talked about him already. We've got Arvidsson. When he was playing for the Los Angeles Kings, he was a thorn in the side of players. He was pesky, he was scoring, he was a streaky player, but he was very effective. Mm-hmm. And now as we get closer to the playoffs, you need to see these veteran players start to shake off some of that rust, some of that lull, whatever that looks like. And, if they can do that, this team is going to reach a different level. And I know all year we've been sitting there talking about it and saying, okay, well, they look slow and they do certain things, but every team is looking for veteran experience. And the Oilers have truckloads of it. So you want to see those veteran players start to find their game, start to round into form, and to start moving from there. It's important because we're right at playoff time.
Right.
And those guys need to come in and they need to be able to produce, and they need to be a factor. And when they're factors, well, this Oilers team is very hard to handle.
Ansel, anything to add there?
No, I mean, great point. I mean, that's been kind of the theme all year, right? Need everybody to step up here.
Old School Nasty texting in says, you played for the team, Bellsy. You can say we. I think even Tommy would be okay with that one. Yes, Old School Nasty, I am more okay with that. He literally played for the team. He can say we. And he's actively involved with the alumni, so it's all good. And even if I wasn't happy with it, he would probably beat me up. So let's be honest. All right, keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999. We're having fun. It is the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. We're in the middle of Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, now with the agency. All right, Bellsy. Number 1 was the Nuge. Number 2 was veteran experience. Number 3, and I like this one, and it's a good thing to have, depth competition.
Yeah, there's a ton of forwards here in Edmonton right now, and you have everybody vying for a spot in the playoffs.
Correct.
And you do not want to be the guy that's sitting out at the end of the day, because most fun time of the year is playoffs.
Yes.
And so right now, what's going to do is it creates that competition, and competition obviously is a good thing, because now it forces guys to be at their best, because if they're not, guess what?
You out.
Healthy scratch, you're out.
Bye-bye.
So for the Oilers, once again, this is a good thing, and we're talking about it earlier. We've talked about it earlier. We've talked about this morning on the Hangout. It's a perfect storm for the Oilers, and the reason I say that is because with Draisaitl and McDavid out, those guys, so many players defer to those two because of how good they are, and they're always like, "Well, yeah, McDavid or Drai's got it." And I'm not going to sit here and say like, "Hey, they openly say that," but in your subconscious, you do think that, because these are the best players in the world.
Yeah.
But because these two guys are out, you still have depth in your lineup. You still have good hockey players. And now you're going to force those guys to play, and you're going to force those guys to bring their A game. And now here we go.
That's all.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I love it because you got the two big guys out. You got the two guys, Frederick, we haven't seen yet, and King, we haven't seen since last year in the Florida series. That's 4 spots, boys. So you don't think these guys, and we talked about it last week when we knew they were going to be without 29 and 97. You don't think these guys are looking at this and saying, okay, now it's my time. You know, most of these guys have had down years, guys. Let's be honest.
Yep.
But now it's
Very
time
true.
to redeem yourselves and earn that trust again of the coaching staff and say, hey, I want to be in this lineup come game 1. And that goes for so many of these guys. Every guy in the bottom 6 should be feeling the same outside of Corey Perry, because he's been excellent.
Yeah.
For what he brings at his age and what he was brought in to do, he has been fantastic. But Podkolzin, Yarmark, Brown, Kapanen, Enrique, all those guys, this is a second chance, man. Like, see what you can do. Now, in fairness, Enrique and Brown are going to be in the lineup, guys. Like, that's not even a question. Like, I'm just throwing them in there as guys that have had down years. But for the Kapanens and the Podkolzins and the Derek Ryans, like, this is your chance to show what you can bring to the team. Come game 1 of the playoffs. So it's a great opportunity, boys, for all these guys.
How quickly would in the playoffs, would you reunite Henrique between Janmark and Brown, or would you hold off on that? Because remember that line was like, hey, they got their third line back, they signed everyone, and it lasted like a few weeks.
It's totally dependent on what they do with Nuge. And if Nuge is going to play center, then I think you can't reunite that line.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a fourth line. Would you think that's a fourth line?
I think you can make a case for
arguments for it, but I don't think that's a true fourth line.
It's a good fourth line.
It's a really good fourth line, but do you want Henrique playing there?
No,
because I think he's actually a better player than that, and I think he actually has more to offer than being a fourth line guy that gets 8-9 minutes a night. I think he's probably better suited to play in your middle 6 and get somewhere in that 15 to 18 minutes.
18 would be high, but 15, somewhere around there, I think would be perfect. That because he doesn't see any power play time, a little bit of PK.
Yeah, but he's a solid player. Like, he doesn't really make a ton of mistakes.
That's true.
And so we talked about him potentially moving up to the top 6. Like, I think that would be a really good fit.
Yeah, and guys, keep in mind, say 4 guys are coming in. Max Jones, Derek Ryan, and Kasperi Kapanen are automatic 3 guys out, right? Is that?
I would think so, but the thing with Kapanen is he's been on the PK lately, and him and Podkolzin have actually been all right, I think.
Yeah. Who would be
And
the other guy for
you? He
you?
has a ton of speed. Well, Podkolzin might be a guy that's out.
Yeah. I thought about that today. I'm like, don't say that because it might get people mad. But
but the reality is unless you're shifting guys over from the left to the right, you're going to have an odd man out. Yeah. Because when you come back in 2 players are coming back.
Yes.
What they look like is another conversation, but you got Frederick, you've got Henrique, you've got Skinner, you've got Janmark, you got Podkolzin.
Actually, Belzy, it might be between Jeff Skinner and Podkolzin as the 4th guy out.
But do you really want Skinner to be out based on the way that he's scoring goals right now?
He has to continue it the next few weeks.
I don't, but
I agree.
I don't, but Knobloch, he's shown us before. This guy's playing well, and he'll take him out of the lineup. Right?
That's a good point.
That is true. Yeah.
So, because Brown, Janmark, Henrique, and Perry are not coming out of the lineup. As much as people want them to, they're not. They're not.
I think you're right.
Yep.
Arvidsson's not coming out either. Let's just call it how it is. Jeff Skinner and Podkolzin, I think, are the bubble guy for that 4th guy out. Because the other 3, I think, are automatic.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
Do they send Jones and Ryan back down to the farm?
Probably.
Right before the playoffs?
I could see them keeping them here. Yeah, I could see them being black aces up here. Bakersfield's in a bit of a dogfight down there, and they've got a lot of injuries. They've got guys. People were asking about Travis Dermott. Why hasn't he reported to Bakersfield? When I talked to Ryan Holt last week, wife was expecting a child. Mm-hmm. Same with Josh Brown, stepped away from the team. Roby Yarventi, his knee has been messed up. I think he had to get some more work on it, as well as he's rehabilitated that. And they've been riding like Drake Gazzola, Deneen, Seth Griffith, Matt Savoy. Yeah. They've been really leaning heavy, especially on their veteran defensemen with those other guys not around the team a lot. So they're in a dogfight right now, but maybe they could send Jones down to kind of provide some reinforcements, help salvage the season. But
I can see a Derek Ryan going back down just as easily.
He would happily go down there. He would be so happy going down there. Just a hunch. Keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999. We've got a few minutes left. It is the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola, Shawn, Belle, Hernan, Salas with you right here on EST. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. Let's go. 8:22 puck drop tonight. 4 games on the schedule. Yeah. Nat, so when you dropped that earlier on EST afternoons, I was just like, I don't even need to hear that, but it's going to give us plenty of time to get settled in. The other games going on, because there's 4 on the schedule tonight, including the Oilers and the Stars. You've got New Jersey leading Chicago 4-2, 6 minutes left in the third there. And then same score on Long Island, 4-2. The Canucks lead the Islanders. That one, 11 minutes remaining in the third period. You got the Oilers hosting the Dallas Stars, and then Anaheim welcomes in the Boston Bruins. So a lighter day around the National Hockey League with the 4 games and a lot of idle teams. Edmonton and Anaheim, as well as Vancouver, the Pacific representatives tonight. And then for the Central, Chicago and Dallas. So and Chicago's so far out of it, doesn't even matter. The Islanders, by the way, need this game tonight to move into the wild card spot ahead of Montreal, and the Canucks doing the Habs a favor at this point with 11 minutes left. 4-2 is your score on the island. Guys, do you want to add anything else or read off some text? We've got a few minutes left here.
Dom?
Danzo?
No.
You don't? Do you want a cigarette? Can we offer you a cigarette?
No.
Just a quick puff.
Just a quick dart.
It's too
wake
late,
you up.
Man. Just gonna sit on the good old sofa there, boys, and watch the game and hope for an Oilers win so we can so the post-game show can be happy.
Okay, well, all right. I have a couple of texts I want to get to. Dudley chiming in. Dudley says, all the people that have had off years so far have new babies in the family.
Oh, yeah.
Your daddy, you just had a new baby. Like, how hard would it be playing, try to be a Stanley Cup contender, and then
I would love to sit here and tell you that
Wiping
I get
poop off of Bebe.
tons of sleep. That don't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I can understand it fully.
Skinner, new baby. Nuge has his baby girl. Who else has had one? I think Hyman had another one. Him and his wife had another one. Who else am I forgetting here? There's been a bunch. There's a lot of fresh bebes around that wives room. Let's go to old school nasty. He says, oh no, that was you can say we, Belsey. Yes, you can. I'll reemphasize that. You can absolutely say we. Conroe, Texas, chiming in says, Conroe, Texas thinks play a couple of games without Connor and Leon could be a blessing in disguise. I've never seen this entire team as engaged as they were in the last game, although tonight is a better test than Seattle. Yeah. So we will see. That's a very good point, Conroe, Texas. Shawn saying, calling it, boosh, 2 points tonight. He wants that Chikrin money and then some. He's going to get and then some.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That day, guys, on EST, we might have record numbers.
Just the day he signs that deal, just out of anger.
What are we thinking?
10 to 10 and a half.
Get the out of here.
Belsey.
You using the board.
Yeah,
Belsey.
I learn.
Belsey. Chikrin got 9. Bouchard's getting way more than that.
He's getting 9.5.
Whether we agree or not.
What?
I think it's 9.5 to 10. Closer to the 10 side, though.
10.5.
10.25.
Tommy, crack open the tequila.
No tequila.
Tequila.
No tequila. Corey B with another one says, as a known Pod Colson fan, I see the argument to have him sit. And then I did want to get back to Coach Mike. He had one earlier in the night. He had a question for us. We threw out the question of the day. Sounds like people do generally want to see LA. I know on the poll that you guys had up, it was like 71% chose LA as the opponent over Vegas. I can't remember what it ended up at, but when I chimed in and voted, I saw LA was at 71% of that poll. Coach Mike says, what type of game are you guys expecting tonight? High scoring, low scoring, tight checking? Signed, Coach Mike. Go ahead, Nenzo or Belsey.
Yeah, go ahead, Nenzo.
I'm speechless.
For the first time in your life.
Oh, can you believe this game's at 8:22, boys?
I don't.
It's sinking in. I'll tell you that
so
much.
Ridiculous.
Oh,
and they have a couple 8:30 starts coming up too.
Oh man, Tommy, those are going to be some late nights, my friend.
Oh man,
some late nights.
Oh, I know. I
can answer this question for you.
Go for it.
It's going to be a tight checking game from the Oilers.
Yeah,
because when those two guys are out, the Oilers, they don't have enough juice in the tank, so to speak, to compete with the Dallas Stars from a skills perspective. So they're going to have to make it a north-south game. They're going to have to make it a lunch pail game. And you got to make sure that everything you do, if Dallas is going to score, it can't come for free because those are the backbreakers.
Yeah, it's I agree with Belsey. Yeah, it's hard to gauge this game though. So I'll be honest. I know me and Joaquin were talking about it. I was like, I don't know what to expect tonight. I truly don't. Like the Oilers are gonna bring like Belsey said, they're gonna come to work, but they're gonna be able to generate a lot of offense. Are they gonna be able to get past Ottinger there as well, right? And yeah.
They have gotten past Ottinger. They have outdueled him with Skinner in there before. It has happened, and happened in playoffs last year, which was great. I'll say it's another 4-3 game. I think it'll be similar to what we saw against Winnipeg. That was a fun game to cover. That was a fun game to talk about post-game. Now, it didn't end up ultimately being the result the Oilers wanted. They still picked up a point. Who knows what the result will be? I think it's going to be a 4-3 type of game tonight. Tight checking, exciting, but we do see a few goals here and there.
Yeah.
Tommy, stupid question. I was going to ask you, and then I totally lost my train of thought, but someone in the nasty chat put it. The team will travel after the game tonight?
They have to.
Yeah. Okay.
You cannot travel on the day of game.
Of game days, yeah.
I think there was one exception, like if it was, I think, Boxing Day, you were okay to travel. We would travel day of game. Usually it was to like Vancouver or Calgary. And then the only other time where that happens is if you get snowed in or inclement weather keeps you in a city before you can get to the next one. But yeah, they will fly out immediately after tonight's game, get into Seattle. They gain an hour, which is a good thing. So no morning skate tomorrow. They'll have some rest, get a good video session in and try to be ready for the Kraken tomorrow night. It's a different scenario with this travel, and then they come right back and they get the Calgary Flames on Saturday. Very much looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Hey, this is it's going to be a great game. We'll see what happens if the Oilers can get the win against the Dallas Stars, a good Dallas team, one of the best since January 1st in the National Hockey League. Great special teams as well. The Stars have it all. We'll see if the Oilers can get the better of them without their two biggest weapons offensively. McDavid and Draisaitl remain out. Bellsy, great job. Big thank you to Josh Bogorad, play-by-play man for the Dallas Stars, for the Latino Heat, Hernan Salas, and my boy Bellsy. I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the Oilers versus the Stars. We'll see you on the post-game show. Ciao, ciao.